Welcome to the Voice of Hope with Marcia Wygum. Marcia promises to be transparent and honest, to help you to rise and pursue your inborn potential to live your best life. She shares stories of faith, adversity, victory, healing, and resources to inspire your rise. Here now is Marcia Wygum.
Welcome to Voice of Hope podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Amanda Acker. Amanda is going to inspire us. She's going to take us on a journey of what life was for her when she was trying to overcome, self-doubt, negative connotation labels, and all those stuff that sometimes can prevent us from rising up and truly pursuing our potentials. Okay, you see, the stuff we're going through in life it's hard, but as hard as it is, there's always a lesson inside of that, and the lessons turn out to be the stories and so on. And that's why we are here today, and that's why we are out there. We are hoping that you will hear something from this. Don't take everything, but take something that inspire you to take an inspired action, right? Because all that you are meant to be is within. So a quick housekeeping. I just want to thank all the people out there who are helping us financially to produce more and more podcasts. And if you're out there and you like what we're doing, you're blessed, you feel empowered, and you want to join us on this journey, we just encourage your gifts, whatever is on your heart, to contribute so that we can keep producing more and more podcasts to help you and to equip you to continue on the journey. And this month of June, we are celebrating our men. Oh my goodness. We don't celebrate our men enough. And without them, we could not stand there and call ourselves mother. I mean, I am that one. I'm raising my hand. No, you maybe can't see me in the video if you're not on audio. But we're celebrating our men, and we are looking for people who want to share the story of their grandfather, their father, their deceased father, their husbands, or whoever that male figure was in your life that helped shape you. Email us at voiceofhopepodcast, the number one at gmail.com. So we waste no more time. We're going straight into our guest, Amanda. Amanda is on a mission to inspire and motivate those who have a difficult past, or a difficult present, to realize that their potential is within them and you can pursue that. So at our core is that she wants our visitors, our listeners, and people in this world to realize that your past does not define you. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Marcia. This is awesome.
Who is Amanda? Tell us what you're doing. Tell us, give us an overview of your mission right there. It's beautiful.
My mission, yes, is to help those with a difficult past, like you said, and also difficult present as well. I like that. Um, that those things don't define you. I have lived through a lot of traumatic events in my life. A lot of things have happened to me, and it took a long time for me to realize that those things don't define me, and the labels that society put on me, because I'm an addict. So society says I fit into this box, and I've been behind bars. So society says I belong in this box. And I have post-traumatic stress disorder and OCD. So now I'm in those boxes as well. And within that, I lived so long in shame and fear of people finding these things out about me, because I didn't want to be the person that society was telling me I needed to be. So I defined myself by that, and I believed it in my head that
Right.
that's who I was.
So now what are you doing? I know you have the podcast and so on. Let's tell our listeners right up the bat where they can find you, where they can connect with you, and what you're doing on the podcast.
Yes. So I'm launching a podcast. It's called the Let Good Things In Show. And on that show, it's all about second chances and sharing my story, and also the story of others who have had difficult things happen over their past and how they were able to overcome. And I want to inspire and give hope to those who are still suffering, and to be able to lift them up and let them know that they are, still worth what they want out of life. And I'm also, you can find me on Facebook. If you search Amanda Marie Acker, that's me. I love friend requests. I love bringing people into my community. So.
That's beautiful. And I know people's going to reach out to you because they, especially persons who can identify with being addicted to, was it drugs?
Yes.
Or have been incarcerated. And that's beautiful that you share it, because for the month of June, we are not only celebrating, Father's Day and grandfathers, but we are also honoring and celebrating men who are incarcerated.
That's beautiful.
Oh yeah, why not? It doesn't mean because we are behind bars, it doesn't mean that he stopped being a father. He doesn't, you know. So I really appreciate and thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom. So let's take us on a journey. Because I mean, with a beautiful mission, we all know it didn't start like that.
No.
Yes, it's all inside of us, right? But then, things. So who is Amanda?
So I grew up I'm still in Pennsylvania, so I've only lived here near Pittsburgh. I had typical normal childhood. My parents didn't argue. You would think from an outsider view that everything was great. At 15, they divorced, and my mother ended up in a very abusive relationship. So she was no longer there, and me and my mom were best friends. So I felt very alone, and I had to learn how to have a relationship with my father, who was very, emotionally unavailable to us as children. So whenever that happened, I had to learn how to form a bond with him, and me and him did bond, but then he ended up also leaving me. And that led me down this path of, abandonment issues and that self-sabotage. I just must not have been worth being loved. I was convinced I wasn't worth love. I wasn't worth having safety. I was homeless at the age of 19. I did, and that when I was 19, I became pregnant. And that was also a turning point, because that was the first time in my life that I had to think of someone other than myself. Like I had to make a choice, and I gave her up for adoption. And that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life. But it taught me that that love that I felt, even though I didn't get to keep her, I still felt her love. And that's the first time I kind of thought to myself, well, if this child is here because of me, then maybe I am, capable of being, I'm allowed to be loved. But then she was taken from me. So it almost was like I felt it, and then it was ripped from me again. So it was that same emotion that I felt when my parents, went on their own separate ways. And for a while there, I was, I just floated through life. I started partying and hanging out with the wrong people and all that stuff that happens when you're in these dark places. And to, take it further, then I wound up in a very bad situation, and I take full ownership for what happened. I had the choice, but I chose to do something that I shouldn't have, which is, why I ended up in jail. And I spent almost a year there, and it was devastating, but I learned so much about myself and about people, because I'm a very introverted person. I don't like strangers.
Yes.
So, and I was very much sheltered as a child. So I had no experience other than, my little suburb that I lived in. Right. So I was very afraid, and I thought everyone was going to be like, very mean. And I had a lot of fear. And then when I got in there, I realized, wow, these women, they're amazing women. They're so talented, and they're, they are capable of such amazing things. But they too, just like me, made a bad decision. Something happened in their lives, and they ended up there with me. And it helped me to see that you can't judge people based on where they're at or what they do or what they may have done, because we are all here to do amazing things. And that was when that lesson first started to come out.
Unfold.
Yes, unfold. Thank you. And then when I was released, the freedom that I felt, and if you're listening and you haven't experienced it, I never want you to. But you can't know that feeling unless you've been through it yourself. So, but it's like this, it was like my whole world was opened up again. I was finally, I could go out and do what I wanted. I had my freedom back.
Yeah.
And it made me realize, like, I really need to take life seriously, and I need to learn how to accept love and love myself for who I am, because I never want to go back.
Right.
And, I want to be able to help people, because I know that, like I said, like, we're just worth so much more than what we think we are, and we're so much stronger than we think we are.
Right.
So with that is, in a nutshell, essentially, why that's my mission, because I really believe that through my experiences, and now I've overcome that, and I've decided to trust my own intuition and trust myself and know that I'm going to make good choices. And if somebody decides to judge me based on that, that's not my fault.
Yes.
And I don't need to carry that burden with me, and I don't need to do anything to please anybody else. And I'm capable of success. Now I have a beautiful home. I have an amazing husband. My kids, they're safe, they're healthy. And I'm getting to follow my heart and tell my story and help other people be able to do the same. And it's such a blessing. And I'm honestly, like, grateful for the experiences I had, because even though they were dark and scary and bad, I'm now able to have that, the ability to see things differently, to help other people get out of that dark part, out of the shame and the guilt that comes along with those things.
Oh, that's a lot. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of beautiful lessons learned and things that you highlight that we could probably even go back over every one of them and say, then, oh, would you help us now? How would you help our listeners? No, like for the divorce, what kind of impact does that have on children? And how can we, who are going through probably challenging marriages, what do we need to consider first, would you say, so that we can be mindful of, how the kids going to perceive what we, the parents, are struggling with?
Yeah, I think from my experience, what would have helped me through that is if my parents would have still, like, I guess, included me in the sense of, like, no, like, I don't think I should have been there for, like, the actual nitty gritty of the divorce, but to still nurture me. It's like they forgot about me. I felt very alone, and I felt like, I had done something wrong. So I think it's important that, if you're going through divorce and you have children, that you make sure to not allow that to happen. Like, just make sure you're having an open conversation with your children about it, because sometimes, unfortunately, like, these things happen, but we have to have open dialogue and make sure that we are showing love, and the same as we did prior to the end of marriage.
Another advice that if I may add, is one person said, think about getting a mediation or seeking help, because sometimes we realize that, like in any relationship, oftentimes it's a communication problem, right? So there's one lady who went through a terrible situation. Her advice was seek mediation, seek it early, because sometimes the marriages are solvable, right? So I love, from the child's perspective, you're saying if we can, incorporate the kids in the decision making, or if it's not salvageable because probably there's domestic violence, abuse and such, let them know what's going on. And if we can parent, co-parent, let's do it, because that will help reaffirm and reassure the kids that it's not their fault, but we come to a place and we have to make a hard decision. You
Yeah.
know, Amanda, you shared that your father wasn't there. He was emotionally unavailable. I think
Right.
this is the second time I'm hearing that said word for the day. I'm curious because here am I over here, we're celebrating our men. Come hell or high water, we're celebrating our men because without them, we could not be that other parent, could not be the mothers. Yep, somebody might say, but Marsha, I can go to the sperm bank and pick my stuff up. Yeah, but you need a man to get the seed, right? So
Right.
tell us, wait, tell us what does that mean when you said he was emotionally unavailable?
Well, it was like, so my dad was there, he didn't travel or anything like that. But he was always off doing something else. Like he'd be in the basement, he was a fly fisherman. So he would be tying his flies, or he'd be doing yard work, or
Right.
you couldn't, if you were upset about something, it was, oh, stop crying. Like there was no like, oh, are you okay? And comfort. It was stop crying, or, that's not that big of a deal. Oh, just get over it. He would say things like, it's all in your head. Like that's one
Oh,
of my, and I can't stand when people say that. But like, he would say that. So it made me feel like my emotions weren't valid. Like I wasn't supposed to feel that way. So it made me feel like I had no voice, and that I couldn't go to my dad with anything, that was, other than like good things. Good things were fine, of course. But when I was feeling sad or down or angry, I didn't feel I could go to my dad on an emotional level for any of those things.
what would you say to that girl right now or that boy who is listening? And she's like, yeah, she's describing my father. That's why I have nothing to do with him this Father's Day or ever.
Yeah.
What would you say in terms of, you know, your voice, in terms of, just who you are and as a person and your strength? Would you say it's really inside of you?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that, if you're experiencing a father like that, that you still need to feel your emotions. You still, it's okay to feel the way you feel, whether your father is not comforting you or giving you the nurturing that you need. That your feelings are valid, and you can cry, and you can be mad, and you can feel however you want. It doesn't matter, because you are you, and that is part of you, and nobody gets to tell you that your feelings aren't valid but yourself.
Wow. That's so true. I read something recently and it's just saying that we're talking about the four things that every human being needs, but we oftentimes look to the other person to give us. But we
Mhm.
can't really get it from the other person because the other person is looking for it as well. So we get that those four things, those four needs met is through our source. Whoever our source is, and that's not even up for no big discussion. Is a matter of who is Marsha connected to. For my source, I believe it's God. For the fish, we know that the fish need to be connected to the water, right? The seed need the soil. So what is human being's source? It's very key for us to identify that, because whatever our source is, that's where we run to. That's who we run to, really. Not necessarily mom, dad, or the spouse. And they're searching for it too, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very tricky kind of thing. But if we don't grasp that early, then people like me suffer, thinking that my husband is gonna fix what my dad didn't do, or my dad should fix it when he's looking for the same thing that his dad didn't do. It's a big old cycle.
It is.
So, right? So I love the transformation of things. I love how you have to go behind bars, and not saying that we have to go there or we have to do something to try to get there so we can experience this transformation, right? Well, what would you say was your point in your life when after you give your daughter up? Did you ever receive her back? Did you ever get to see her again?
Well, that's another piece of my story. So when I was in jail, I was also pregnant.
Okay.
And that they're together. So I gave them both up to the same family. So when I had Lorelai, I met Jasmine. She was probably 5. And that was the first time I saw her since birth. But I have not seen her in person since then. Neither of them.
You're not allowed to figure it out somewhere from the person or
no. Yeah, I have it's closed. But once the girls are, of age, they have the choice. They know they're adopted. Like we all agreed that they would know they were adopted, and they would also know that they're actual sisters. And that, when they become older, they can come and find me. That's completely up to them, and I hope they do.
Yes, I believe they're gonna do. Because after a time we went out, we go on the search, wanting to know the truth and get to that place so that we can, close that door and the forgiveness and the healing can start.
Yes.
Or are you using all these lessons right now to help others?
I want to use my lessons to truly like give people hope. I feel like so many people are out there in this world who are, amazing human beings. We're all amazing human beings. That I don't want them to ever go without being able to share their gifts with the world. And I want to take these lessons that I've learned and say, okay, I've been through this, and this is how I overcome it. I learned that, being in jail, I learned to not judge people and to not feel like that, anyone is different from anybody else. And I want to also take these lessons to on another level. I want to help those who are younger and who may be, at risk of, they have had a childhood trauma and they're more at risk to follow in my footsteps, and to help prevent that by teaching them and telling them the lessons that I've learned and how to be able to trust themselves to make the right choices. And that's truly that's a huge passion of mine that I really want to be able to do.
Life being bars. Many of us have never experienced that, or many of us have experienced it, but it sounds like it's an experience in itself, not just the activity that gets us behind bars, but just the relationship and the discovery and something that happened behind there. Do you mind take us behind bars a little bit?
Yeah, I can definitely tell you about it. So, I was in a county jail. I was not in a prison. So my experience was, you go in and you're stripped of everything. Like, you're stripped, you're literally naked. You're stripped down to nothing. In front of a stranger, and you mean
stripped naked?
Yeah, like when you go in, like they have to make sure you don't have drugs on you or anything.
Okay.
And then you go into what's called holding, and it's disgusting. There's no other word for it. It's completely unsanitary. You're in there with, all sorts of different women that you don't know, it smells bad. You're fed very poorly. And then eventually you get to go to what's called main population. And that's where the cells are and everything. And it's really scary, but it's not hard to survive it. You just, you gotta, when I went in, I thought, like I said earlier, that, it was going to be complete chaos, like what you see on the movies. And it's not. It's not like what you see in the movies. But I met, I had a roommate, so to speak. We don't call them roommates in jail, but what
do you call them in Bears?
We call them our cellie. So cellmate. Yeah. And I was afraid of her at first, but she helped me. Like I came in and, she introduced me to people and made me feel like I was safe. And it, I don't really know how else to describe it. Honestly, I've never been asked to describe that. So that's kind of why I'm a little bit all over the place with it.
You're doing fine. I told you have been there. You have seen it. So you know, and then somebody else out there, and then that's how we're going to connect with the people who we were meant to serve, because
Right.
they're going to hear her voice and they're going to say, yes, Amanda has been there. She's not only Amanda Acker, but she's also a former Sally,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
she understands the slang. So if she talks to me and tells me about how to overcome and let that go, she has the right to speak into my life. So,
Yeah.
you just take us to wherever you want to, but you don't have to be precise. But I love how that Sally was able to make it, introduce you to what's going on, the environment,
Yes.
even though you was feeling scared, right? It has done a lot for you, Amanda, because you said the first thing you learned in there was not to judge.
Right.
How
Yeah.
many of us right now, we have mothers right now probably who are listening who have just gotten a diagnosis that a child has a developmental something, and the labels and the judgment and all the stigmas, that alone just keep us right there from taking any actions. So you can speak to this well. How how hard it is for somebody to overcome something. What is overcoming? What does that mean to you? What does hope mean for you?
Overcoming to me means that you are able to accept what has happened to you, or choices you've made, you accept that, and then you're able to say, okay, now you've accepted it, then you have to own it. So yeah, you accept it, but you have to own it, that that's a part of who I am.
Mm,
And then that's okay. I forgive myself for the bad choices I've made throughout my life, but
right.
I'm ready to move on. And that will never leave me. That will always be something that I have. And yeah, it, even once you forgive it, it's gonna come up again. It's not just gonna go away, but you're gonna be better able to deal with that than you were before. So it's accepting, owning, and then forgiving yourself for it. That is when you've overcome it. You're able to no longer, it's not every day you're not thinking, oh my gosh, like when are they going to find out I'm a felon? When are they going to find out I'm this? When are they going to find out I'm that? It gets less and less and less. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, like I haven't thought about it. I haven't thought about these things because I'm living the life that I want to. I'm living a clean life. I'm living a life with positive people. I'm no longer allowing the negative people to bring me down. And that's how, for me at least, that's how I knew that I have overcome things, because old Amanda like would not be sitting here sharing these stories with you. I would still be in fear and shame. But now I know that I was put here to experience the bad so that I can give hope and inspire those who are going through it, or stop those who may be on a path to it from experiencing it at all. So that to me is how I know I've overcome it. And
Right.
hope, the hope part, it's the same, like just by telling my story and hearing and sharing other people's stories, that is going to just instill it more that, oh my gosh, like if you're listening and you're still suffering in something, or there's labels put on you or your children, that it's going to be okay, because we were all put here to do amazing things. And that's the hope that I want to give people.
You're doing it, Amanda. You're doing it. Like what you said, the old Amanda wouldn't do this now. That means you have put on the new. There's a scripture that talks about that: put off the old and put on the new. And when we put off the old, of course, and put the new on, doesn't mean it erase our past. It doesn't. But what we grab with us in our new is the lessons learned. And the lessons learned and the story you share. No, it's going to be what goes out. And persons who are out there will probably, doing stuff that probably can get them behind bars. They're going to hear that life behind bars is nothing like what we see on television, where the grounds are clean and everything look all nice and dandy. But then there's aspects of it where it's sickening. Yeah, you said you can probably survive it. And I feel like I want to go back behind bars just a little bit more.
Okay.
Why, Marsha? Because we're celebrating men this month of June, and there's one day we'll set aside, and we're just gonna visit the men behind bars. Somebody be like, you, but you don't have no clue what he did to be in there. Of course, he's being there for some reason or for some accusation, but that doesn't stop him from being a dad. And those kids that we have out here who are feeling the emotional, not only emotional separation, but the physical separation. What do you have to say around that, Amanda? I know you are in the female side, but just the life in general, we can imagine it. What is life like? How should we empathize still, given that they're behind bars?
Being behind bars, even though you're surrounded by people, it's very lonely.
Mm,
It's a lot of, you're in survival mode. So it's not like you go
right.
behind bars and it's hunky dory. You're in survival mode the entire time. So you're constantly thinking, okay, like, what do I have to do to make sure I'm doing what I need to do, but not upsetting anyone? Like, yes,
Oh,
like the people aren't, the people that I met, like they weren't all horrible. Like none of them are horrible,
yes.
but there's certain things, there's, like when you're in the outside world, there's cliques, there's people, like, oh, like we're all friends, but we don't like these people. Like think high school. It's like that in jail. So you have
Mm,
certain people, that, you know, you like and you get along with and you hang out with them. And then you have to keep your head down. You got to worry about, okay, if I get hungry in the middle of the night, like there's no snacks. There's no snacks. Like unless
oh
you
my
have
God.
someone putting money on your books for commissary, you can't just wake up in the middle of the night and say, oh, I want a Snickers bar and go grab one. That does not happen. You are locked in. So your days are very structured. You have to get up at a certain time. You have to stand up in your cell and you have to be counted, and then you're allowed out. Then if someone causes a scene or if a fight breaks out, because these things happen,
Mm-hmm.
then you're locked up again. You have no freedom.
Oh my
None.
God.
You're told when you can take a shower, when you can get on the phone, how long you can be on the phone. Um, you have no money. There's no currency in jail besides for, if someone has ramen noodles or something, but there's no real money there.
Right.
um, and, it's a very dark place to be. And it's very hard emotionally to be there. But if you can find people in there, I know for me, I did find select few people that I would still call my friends,
Mm-hmm.
because we went through it together. So you are able to create those relationships, but it's gross. Like you said, it's not, it is not shiny. There's no, I didn't go on horseback rides. I didn't get my nails done, unless me and the girls were like putting marker on our nails, like we were teenagers again, like it is not a fun place to be. And like I said, everything, you're told when you can eat. Like I was pregnant and I couldn't just like gorge out on Taco Bell. Even though I really
Perfect.
wanted to.
Right, right.
I was lucky if I could get a bologna sandwich, an extra bologna sandwich. Okay. So, and then, and if you're on medication, it takes a long time to get the medication while you're in jail. Sometimes people have mental illnesses that truly, truly need it. Some people have life threatening
Threatening.
illnesses,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to wait, and it's not up to you. It's not like you can pick up the phone and call your pharmacy and say, hey, where's my medication? Like nothing is up to you. Once you cross into the jail, you are no longer a free person. It's just gone. So.
Thank you so much for sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Miss Amanda Acker. And her passion is to help people just overcome challenges and just pursue the greatness. She's just given us a synopsis behind life behind bars. Aren't we grateful that we can have women and people like us who stand up and say, we're going to share a story. We're going to put that all off. And we're going to bring that awareness. And Amanda, we really thank and appreciate you. I was thinking while you were talking, I was thinking about the kids of parents who are incarcerated right now. And I was thinking about we who are out here and, what we judge and so on. We don't know this story because we don't read it, but we just go with the fad, right?
Yeah.
What would you say to the kids right now, both who have mom and dads back there, And yes, we're talking about overcoming challenges and hope and so on. But what Miss Amanda, my mom is serving years, or my dad is. What do we say to them?
I would say to them that your mother or father who is behind bars, they love you so much, like just as if they're right there with you. That love doesn't go away.
Mm.
It's made me cry. Um,
Thank you for
I
sharing and being vulnerable.
I saw women, mothers in there who were like crushed because they couldn't say happy birthday to their child. Like your parents still love you and are going to do everything they can within their power when they get out to see you again. Like you matter to them. Number one, like that love never ever goes away, no matter where they're at or what they may have done. That's what I would tell the kids of incarcerated parents.
It's made me want to feel like I want to cry. Because while we're sitting here, I'm hanging out here with you, and I'm so appreciative that you don't mind, because we're celebrating fathers. It's Father's Day coming up the 20th, and the month we're just honoring our men. And we might get to a place where we think, oh, we don't need to even think about them. Why you even waste time on those men? But that's not okay. Because here you're saying, behind bars, parents' number one goal is to be able to connect with the kids again. And they're going to pull out any string to do that. How can we who have never been there really truly join force and say, that's a human being behind there? And you're stripped of everything: freedom, your clothing, the stuff that we out here we get rude about. Where's my lunch? My sandwich wasn't good. Throw it back across this, and complain about these things. How can we put ourselves for a minute or two in the person's shoe and reach them?
I mean, that's a really hard question to answer.
Think about it from a place of overcoming. Think about a place of potential. Think about it from a place of being just human beings, and think from it of a place of the judgment that you learn, that we can't put judgment and no one.
Yeah. What I would say is that just because, from a personal, like as human beings,
Yes,
just because someone's behind bars doesn't mean that they don't exist and that they don't matter. And when you're in there, that's what it feels like. Like it's like you're no longer a human being. Like that, it's just like you don't exist in the outside world.
yes.
I would tell people who've never been in to just, to realize that we all make bad choices. No one is perfect. And just because, like I said, that, I've been behind bars and someone is still behind bars, we are all human beings and we are all entitled to have the necessary things we need to survive. We deserve, clean water. We deserve food, warm food.
Yes.
We deserve to be able to breathe fresh air. We deserve friendship. We deserve love. And I really want to just say that, like, it's so important that we don't forget that those people behind bars are still human beings and they're not less than.
Oh my God, that's powerful. I thank you so much. I didn't even realize we were gonna get there, but when I think about it, and I know when I was thinking about the different dads, couldn't, I that was like one, the first one on the top, I mean, the fathers behind bars. So really thank you for taking us there and to encourage parents and kids out there who have their parent who behind bars right now for whatever situation. We're just gonna keep ministering healing and remember that we are human beings, and in spite of the wrong air, we deserve these basic things.
Yes.
Amanda, so when we think about potential, let's go about, go down the potential part a little bit. And somebody who, probably is on the journey of, the parents weren't there making the bad choices and hanging around with the right crowd So we don't know what this thing about potential is and how we even discover it. What would you say? How can we find out what our potential is so we can start to move towards them or move towards our dreams?
Yeah. So the first thing that, for me, what I did personally and what I would suggest other people do is to really sit with yourself. And that might sound like strange. What do you mean sit with yourself, Amanda? Just literally find quiet and get a pen and paper or just nothing and just really search in yourself like what truly will bring you happiness and what truly makes you like light up. There's something in all of us. And if you sit in silence and you really take time to do some deep thinking or meditation, I like to visualize, so
Yes.
visualization, and just really think on it, and it that will start that'll start it for you. Like you'll start your brain like thinking, okay, like potential, like what do I? It's not, if the word potential, we can take that out. Just think about what truly is going to bring you joy, whether that's maybe you think, oh, being a doctor would be amazing, and then you think about like sit with that, like what would it look like if I were to become a doctor? Where would I live? What clothes would I be able to buy? And really embody that. And if it's still lighting you up, I get goosebumps when I do this kind of stuff, but
Thanks for sharing.
that's going to be what your purpose is, because that's what's going to bring you absolute joy.
After being released, and then you come out with these lessons, power of not judging and so on. When did it start to change? You told us that you now have a beautiful home, you have a awesome husband and the kids. And someday you're gonna see the kids again. They're gonna come find you. So that's a given. When did it all start to like look different now?
It started to look different, you know, about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I've been through more since jail. Just not choosing the right people to be around still.
Okay.
But about 2 years ago, me and my husband had been married for 2 years at that point, and we went through a lot in the beginning of our marriage. There's a
Yeah.
lot of negative energy lingering, and it took me to see, like, once I allowed myself to listen to my intuition, like one day I was just like, like I'm so tired of letting everyone else control my life. Like I realized I had no thoughts of my own. All of
Yeah.
my decisions were based on other people, and I was tired of it. And I decided I'm going to start making my own choices, and I'm going to start listening to myself and trust that I know what the right choices are for me. And as soon as I did that, it was like a light bulb went off, and it just slowly turned into where I'm at now over the past couple of years. And it just keeps going up. Like it's never, like, ever since I had that moment of I can make choices for myself. I can accept my husband's love. I can fully love myself. It has just been an upward, like it's been an amazing ride. And after then I look back and I'm like, wow, if other people could just like dabble in that feeling, what the potential of
Oh
this
my
world would
gosh.
be.
I love that you're bringing us right there because I love it. I was like, okay, should I stop right now? Then she finished. I love that you went there with the decision piece, and then with trusting your intuition and knowing that what you're believing, what you're seeing, you're everything, you have to trust and embody that. Why I'm so excited about that is because when a woman get a diagnosis that a child is going to be different, she hear everything that's the book says. The child is not going to have the use, it can't read, it can write, going to depend on you for the rest of your life. But one thing what I should never hear, and that's what we do in our coaching and speaking and so on, is to let you know that it is okay for you to make that decision and to stand by that decision. It's okay for you to trust your intuition. Because sometimes, we as mothers, and I say we because I have a son who diagnosed with Down syndrome 2 years ago. We're in the journey now. And sometimes when you tell somebody like, I know that my child has potential. I saw him, I see him, he does this and he does that. They'll say, no, it's just, that's not the case. And then the mother leave frustrated. I read these things, I listen, I have conversation. Actually, it was just 2 days ago talking to a mom, and she said, I have to burn the book that they gave me, telling me who my child was going to be. Amanda, just go right back there and tell us the feeling that you will get and how you can embody that, knowing that make the decision leave with you, right? Whatever decision going to be, you're going to stay the journey with the child, even though it's different, and watch him grow and be that a voice and trust your intuition that, right? Give us an overview of what it feels like when you go there.
When you start trusting your intuition in yourself, you start to feel confident, and it's freeing. It's like,
yes,
it's freeing, and like you feel
yes.
like, wow, like I made that decision and nothing burned down, like nothing
No.
bad happened. And it's so freeing, and it's such an amazing feeling to truly be able to tap into your own intuition and trust yourself. It's amazing.
It's powerful. I know it's powerful because I mean that I get excited, okay, when I hear these things: decision, labels, overcome, intuition. I mean, if I start telling my story, it was like, okay, Marsha, let's do this at this our next episode. But trusting our intuition is not up here either. Trusting our intuition is not a head knowing.
No.
It's like where is it, Amanda?
It's in your soul, in your heart. You can feel it it's like this feeling. I don't know. For me, I'm sure maybe other people may experience it differently. I truly feel it in my gut. It's like,
that's
like,
it.
Oh, like, what is that? It's like, what? Like, okay, something's wrong here. Yeah, so it's in your gut.
Deep. So yeah, if you could, I think you couldn't see me when I was doing like this, but it's down in here. Your intuition is that knowing that you know, and it feels like it's not in your head. It's not a chest pain. It's a knowing deep down inside here that you can run with it, right? So that's what we all learn to when we make a decision, or we, for certain that, what, my child has this potential. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna pull it from everywhere, right? Yes. Hold on to that. And I know somebody might be out there saying, yes, it's a long time I've been believing this, but the doctors keep saying this, or some uncle down the road said this 5 years ago that I couldn't become anything. But you have everything you need inside of you. Mm-hmm. And I love your work, Amanda. I love what you're doing. I love the awareness. I love the podcast. How can people be on your, if they want to be a guest? You make that easy?
Yeah, you can, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, you can message me on Facebook. Okay. So just friend request me, Amanda Marie Acker, and I'll send you my scheduling link. And if we'll do like an intro call, like a 15-minute call, and then from there we'll schedule the interview. But yeah, I would love if anyone out there has a story, they have it in their heart that they want to tell, even if you're still going through it and you feel safe to tell it, please reach out to me. I would love to have you on the show for sure.
Wow. Amanda, it's Father's Day coming up. I know, what you want to celebrate, what you want to say about your husband. How did you do it again? After all of the stuff you've been through, and, to find true love. I know there's somebody out there saying, how can these people been through all this stuff and then find somebody? How did they do it? I was not looking for perfection around here, okay? Because nobody's perfect. No one is perfect. So, how would you celebrate him?
For Father's Day?
Yeah. But today.
Yeah. Yeah. I am every day I celebrate all of the things that I have, not, and not just the material things. I celebrate the trees. I celebrate the sky when it's raining. I celebrate the rain, and I celebrate the beautiful people I get to share my life with, my husband, the 2 children that I do have.
Congratulations.
my mother-in-law, my mother, my father. Like I celebrate it all, and I give thanks and have so much gratitude for the beautiful things that I'm blessed with today.
Awesome. What do you want to leave with us?
I just want to leave with number one, you're stronger than you think. Please believe that you are so strong. I don't care where you're at in life, you are so strong. Number two, you deserve love, and you deserve that safety and that warmth of true love. And lastly, I would just say that your past doesn't define you. It doesn't matter what traumas you've been through or what bad choices you've made. You are still capable of amazing things because you're an amazing human.
Wow. Amanda Acker, we thank you so much. You inspired us. You showed us how to overcome what it feels like to trust your intuition. You help us to understand that life behind bars doesn't dehumanize people. You bring us on a path that I feel like I was in there at one point. I was in that home when the breakup happened, and how you felt, and then I could see myself running on the road and seeing you going down. I really appreciate and thank you. I like how you said you take off the old Amanda and you put on the new, and you're still walking and you're still overcoming, because overcoming is a continuous, we continue to overcome daily. My goodness, never stops. So thank you so much for sharing and be vulnerable, and you probably move some of us to tears. I thank you so much for just giving me that perspective about, as we celebrate men this June 2021, we celebrate our men, but and also our men behind bars. It really it gave me something that when I get ready to open my mouth and speak and just honor them, that I'm going to remember what you said. I really appreciate it. Anything else you want to say?
I just want to say thank you so much, Marsha. This has been awesome. And I'm so grateful for you allowing me on your platform to share my story.
Yes, your story meant a lot, and it's reaching at us, and they're going to overcome so that they can tell their story, and there's a continuous ripple effect. And that's what we're after, to help people to realize that they matters. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to the Voice of Hope podcast. Please remember to email us if you have any questions, any concerns. Reach out to email us at voiceofhopepodcast, 1 at gmail.com, or join our group, Down Syndrome Moms Raising Up in Faith from the Stigma. Please reach out to Miss Amanda. If you hear her voice, there's a scripture that says, "My sheep hear my voice." If you hear her voice and you know you have been there and you want somebody to connect with, who understand what it feels like to be incarcerated, or to have gone through the divorce and it affected you so bad, and you're on a path now and you want somebody to connect with, she's available. She loves connecting with people and having conversation, and tell her she's all over social media. Until next time, for more Voice of Hope, this is Marsha Wygum saying, walk good.
You have been listening to Voice of Hope with Marsha Wygum. We're glad that you were able to join us today and that you found the program inspiring. For further information, please email voiceofhopepodcast1@gmail.com. That's voiceofhopepodcast1@gmail.com. Listen again next time for Voice of Hope. Hello, I'm Sidney Thorpe. Synthesizer is here to help you meet your audio recording needs. Call or WhatsApp 876-281-2801, or you can email me at sidnesizer at gmail.com or sidnesizer at outlook.com. Or you can Skype me using Sidnesizer as my Skype name. Sidnesizer. We can talk. Sidnesizer, where we love to make good things happen.